Here are the ingredients for my sofrito boricua, some Puerto Rican sofrito. We have some ajíes dulces. These are little sweet peppers. Some recao or culantro. We have some red and some green bell peppers. Actually, I used 2 green and 1 red in this recipe. 1 bunch of cilantro, and this is cilantro are going to give you a really strong flavor in this recipe, so you don't want to be skimpy. Just a regular yellow onion. We have 10 or 11 cloves of garlic. I really love garlic. I go heavy on the garlic. And some tomatoes. Today I'm going to use Roma tomatoes. I use 2 of them. They're pretty, they're like a medium size. They fit in my hand. So I usually would use a really big tomato, but Roma tomatoes will do just fine for this recipe. And those are all of my ingredients. I do not use any added sodium to my recipe, no salt, I've seen people put salchichas or little processed sausages in their sofrito. That's disgusting. So this is what we're working with, all natural. That's gonna make this amazing Puerto Rican base. So yeah, stay tuned. Hi, I'm Janeida, also known as Fat2Flaca from Fat2Flaca.com. I'm doing some food prep tonight. One of the things that I wanted to make a video for is something that I make every couple months. It lasts me a really long time since there's only 2 people in my home, and it's called Sofrito. It is a Puerto Rican base for many recipes, including stews, beans, rice, ajíes dulce. These are sweet peppers. They're not spicy. Make sure that you do not confuse a habanero pepper for this because you will burn a hole in your ass. These are not spicy. They look similar to habanero, but they're not spicy. You can change the variation of this recipe however you like. I find this combination and these quantities to suit my palate, and my family loves it. My mother says that she really enjoys my sofrito, and if you're Latina, you know that your mother's approval on your sofrito or on any recipe is something that makes your heart go pitter-patter. It freezes beautifully. One of my favorite things to do after making this is putting it into ice cubes, popping it in a Ziploc bag, and using it that way, cooking it straight to the pan. Cilantro. Sofrito is something that you can you put into your recipes and you can cook, or I think some people even kind of toss into salads or use as marinades for meat. So it can be eaten raw. It's all vegetables, but typically Puerto Ricans will put it into a recipe as a base, a flavorful base for our recipes. I do not add any sodium to this recipe. I don't put any salt in it. Some people have grown to put processed meat like salchichas or salchichones in their sofrito. That is utterly and totally disgusting. You want to keep this as healthy as possible. The roots of Puerto Rican cuisine is supposed to be fresh and vibrant, full of flavor and aroma and color and taste. So you really don't want to ruin your recipe by adding any unnatural or extra preservatives or salt to your recipe, because you're going to get all your flavor from these very fresh and flavorful vegetables. So it's super easy to make. As you can see here, I've already prepped all of the ingredients. You're going to chop your tomatoes, you're going to chop your onions, slice your bell peppers into strips or into chunks. I'm actually going to go ahead and cut those into smaller pieces. Just coarsely chop your cilantro and your culantro. I went ahead and cut the tops of the ajo or the garlic off. And I'm just going to chuck them into my food processor and make some amazing sofrito. It's really easy. The most time you're going to spend on this recipe is 10 minutes prepping it and chopping everything, de-seeding everything. These little pesky suckers have a lot of seeds in them. I like to remove them. You should destem them and remove the seeds. So I'll go ahead and cut one open so you can take a look at it up close. This will take the most time for this recipe, but other than that, put it in the food processor and it's done. And I'll show you how I do that as well. So for the ajíes dulce, they look like this. You can go ahead and get a closer look at that. I'm going to go ahead and cut it down the middle. And it's full of these seeds. So you can go ahead and chop the stem off, like so. Toss it to the side. And with the tip of your knife, it should be pretty easy if your knife isn't as dull as mine. You just kind of de-seed it. Take out all of the seeds. And that's about it. And if there's, 1 or 2 seeds in there, no big deal. but that is what a clean ajis dulce should look like. And you go ahead and repeat for all of the ajises dulce and throw them into the food processor. So I'm gonna finish cleaning these out and throw it into the food processor. And you know, even chopping all of these vegetables, you should just smell how tasty this is gonna be all together. It's like all the aromas fused together. It smells amazing. So I'll go ahead and finish this and I'll get back to you in a second. So you bring over your ingredients and you pop them into your food processor. I highly recommend the Ninja brand. This food processor is so good to me. I make everything in here. It comes with different blades so that you can make dough and you can mix and you can blend. And it comes with individual blending cups. I make all of my protein shakes in this. It's amazing, a godsend. So I'm gonna put the lid onto the Ninja and we're going to pulse until everything is pureed. God, it smells amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and push down the rest of the herbs that are in there, the cilantro, so that it all mixes into the food blender. So just scrape around the edges. It looks amazing, nice and green, vibrant, full of life. I love it. I'm telling you, some people will probably eat this as a dip too, but I'm not that gangster with it. So I totally am going to rub down some pork chops with this today too. Squeeze some lime on it. Watch, you'll see some cilantro lime pork chops we're going to make. So give it a few more pulses. You don't want to make it too watery. And voila. Your sofrito is done. Take a look at it. Blade out, and this is a bowl of some of the best vitamin rich sofrito. No preservatives, no added salt, no added oil. It's just some, I think this is like what keeps Puerto Ricans looking so young. And our skin is so flawless. It's all of these veggies at the base of our food. With these recipes that we dispel the myth that Latino food and Puerto Rican food has to be greasy and unhealthy and deep fried. It really doesn't have to be. You know, at some point, our grandparents didn't have canola, vegetable oil frying up their pork chops, and didn't have any adobo or sazon to season their foods. It was all very natural. So I want to take us back to those roots. Take us back to mommy's recipes. And you know, there's nothing wrong with changing some of the way that our cultural dishes are prepared if they're prepared in an unhealthy way, and making them healthier. It's about preserving our history and our culture and sparing our bodies from becoming unhealthy vessels, right? You want to make sure that you still enjoy the flavors of where we come from, but that we don't do it at the expense of our health. And so this is a fresh, nice green bowl of sofrito, and it took about 20 minutes, and you're not going to pay $5 at the local grocery store for something that was made probably with a lot of added ingredients like salt. And this is going to freeze beautifully. I'm just going to put it right into some ice cube trays, freeze it, pop it into a Ziploc bag, use 2 to 4 cubes per recipe depending on what I'm making. And this is going to go into my eggs, this is going to go into my beans, this is going to get put on everything. So sofrito, voila, very easy. Make sure you go to Fat2Flaca.com for the recipe and any other questions you may have about it. Send me an email, post a comment on my Facebook page, shoot me a message on Instagram. I'm all over the place. Fat2Flaca.com.